Demonic Angel. Today is another tarot card. I'm getting through the whole Rider-Waite deck, probably approaching, the last 10 cards. And then I'll have done all of them and I'll have to do, another deck, and then I want to come back to do spreads and card combinations periodically. We could take apart individual suits and kind of look at the story. But today is 10 of Wands. And we have a guy who is, he's got his 10 wands. Of course, the suit of wands is ideas. And he is, and we can see here in the background, there's like a little, maybe a castle. And it's, or houses. This is a, and there's more than one. Okay, so it's like a little village. Now the red, it's kind of like here by his foot. That's supposed to be a bridge, between the land he's on now and the little village here in the background. So this gentleman carrying the 10 wands, he's heading for the background, he's heading for the village. And since the suit of wands is ideas, and it's really, if it's 10 of Pentacles, then that's kind of more of this real world, realistic kind of quality to it. But the 10 of Wands is that we can suppose that some of this is in his head, is an abundance of ideas that it's almost like we could almost think of a person who, has OCD or and they really are carrying this extra set of ideas, trauma, and that makes it a little bit harder to go on the journey, because I was actually kind of giving this little story to a person I did a reading for. If you think about two people and they're in the middle, out in the water, there's a little island, and they're supposed to go swim to this island. And it's a good distance away, but totally, swimmable. So, or each person, like the one person has a little sack on their back, and then they have really heavy clothing, and inside of their little sack they've got heavy possessions, and that kind of an ideas. So you could just add on layers. Let's say they have a really heavy hat, so they have all this stuff. Now they can probably still swim to this island and make it. It's just going to take longer, and there's the possibility is now greater that they won't make it. They won't be able to swim to the island because they've burdened themselves with too much, and they can only make it halfway, 3/4 of the way, because it's just too much for one person to carry. And if they were to let go of this, of their possessions, the stuff, then they could completely swim, and this would be totally great. But they don't choose to see that, so they don't make it, right? Or they make it and it's just this really exhausting, exaggerated task. But the other person just has light clothing on, and that's all they have, or maybe a swimsuit even. And they left all, hey, they abandoned your stuff here on the shore. It's just stuff. stuff, and you'll find more stuff once you get to the island. So they swim no problem because they're not choosing to burden themselves with these extra thoughts, ideas that are really just they're really not going to do anything. Just drop your stuff and swim. So I don't know if you guys like that little kind of analogy, but I kind of found it useful. So this is like, it does remind me of the Two of Pentacles that I was just doing, I think last week, when it's like the guy who's standing and there's the ships, and they're riding the ebb and the flow of the tides, and he's juggling, a pentacle in each hand. And that kind of evokes feelings of that he's possibly struggling with making a choice, a major decision, and kind of living in that, the pros and the cons, if I do this, because it is that whole thing. I think when we think deeply, that each choice we make like that will lead to this whole, sometimes a butterfly effect of a whole set of unexpected things that really, these small kinds of choices, or even big ones, of course, but we know that big ones will, going into it, just alter our lives, change us, take us on expected journeys, have you end up doing things, living in places, being with people that you would have never expected, because it's just that huge decision. This card is not so much that. The similarity is that we've kind of got a person who is struggling to carry, it's with the Pentacles, with reality. And then here, this is struggling to carry the ideas, but with reality. I mean, this guy, because he's working up a sweat, he's probably, we can kind of surmise that he's come a long way from wherever he's been to carry these sticks here. So this is hard work, and it's very real, even though this is ideas too. So he's really putting in this tremendous effort to carry these burdens. And so it is kind of like, if you want to look at this in this upright position, this is choosing to take on burdens with a really noble, strong, admirable end game, which is the village, okay? Then if this means that you can provide stability for your family, and this will land you this dream job, if this means that you take your mother into your home and you're going to care for her as she ages, let's say, with the goal of course, helping your mother, because this is this noble thing, taking on this additional burden, for all these really righteous reasons that are very admirable. And those things, if it's something that is kind of connected in this way, which I like to see Pentacles with, then you kind of have a better chance of that working out. Like, he will make it to this village, because it's a lot of weight to carry, but with that goal in his mind, and plans that, to execute this in reality, then he's going to be able to carry this extra burden for a little bit of time. The idea is this is a little bit of time. He could not carry this forever. And when we also think too, it's like upright, this is kind of like this warning reminder that you should probably look to other people to help you and confide in with the given end goal still in mind. Because he's obviously doing this carrying these burdens for a reason. And, if you enlist help, if you confide in somebody, you can see a perspective you're missing out on. You can find resources and help. And then let's just say you had one other person carrying 5 of these wands. How much easier does it make it for this guy? And then, both people can make this. So that's really, that's what this upright is hey, realize your cause is great, and it really will stick with you in your dreams, your ideas, your thoughts, but that, you kind of need to reassess your plans. Make sure they're firm, make sure that you're not going to burn out, because if you burn out, you're not going to make it. Reverse, this is kind of that point where a person just carried these ideas, with their reality, and they just can't do that alone anymore. So they kind of have that unexpected kind of mental breakdown, and that's not a planned thing. This is just this result that they simply can't do this anymore. It does not matter how noble the end game is. It is simply too much. So like in my analogy earlier about, swimming to an island, this is the point of abandon your heavy possessions or drown, because it's just suffocating. So you're being forced to find a way to cope, because you just have that break. Like maybe it's just these, somebody becoming angry or withdrawn, sad, because this is their breaking point. Now, many times we see that is then that point where people give up, and there's sometimes there's a regression. But this is just letting you know that you need to reassess how you're going to execute your plans. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't need to be a permanent stay. I mean, if we see the hangman and things like this here, you get a little bit more of a sense that there should be a pause in this whole endeavor. But nevertheless, a great way to think of this is that upright, this is just a reminder that, hey, you can do this and you've got this, and this is going well. But you need to pause and reconsider. If we kind of see how he is going slow, it really is like he has stopped to consider that, reassess your plans, your goals, and the whole realistic ways that you're trying to get to your goal. And then that way you can have times of leisure and your resources available, no unexpected, unpleasant surprises, and just take those breaks to reassess. And that's that loving kind of reminder. This is that you already, and sometimes this is just our mind's natural way of forcing you to do it. You're being forced to find a different way to do this, to meet this end goal, and possibly when you reconsider that maybe this is not something either for you, or you just cannot do this alone. This can mean this whole range of things, ranging from mental problems that need to be treated. Let's say we get some medication going, some therapy, things like that, some leisure time, or we get a job because somebody's depressed, they don't have anything to do. Then we take away some of these burdens, and this makes that easier. So it's okay to just have that whole burnout experience as well, because maybe it's just not something right for you, and that's kind of how that is, and that's totally okay. But Anyway, that's the 10 of Wands, and I'll see you guys later.